Welcome to the Body Wise podcast. I'm Beth Manning, and I'm a psychic healer and an expert at reading the body and healing with energetics. In this podcast, we go beyond the physical to explore how to work with your emotions, beliefs, energy, and spiritual connection so you can heal your body, align with the highest version of who you are, and step into a more fulfilling, purpose-driven life. So I'd like to take a minute to look back at 2024 and also look forward at 2025 and some of the energy that is emerging for 2025 and kind of how to bridge the gap between the two. So 2024 was a year of learning who we are in terms of our power. It was a year that no doubt challenged you to stand in your power over and over again. I know for me, it was constantly getting out of my comfort zone. And that's what so much of this year was about. It was about slowly whittling down all the things in your life that no longer align with who you are to be your most powerful and to really stand in your power. So there were no doubt a lot of situations, people, challenging circumstances, even some deaths that we had to endure in order to really see what we're made of, in order to really see who we are. So this year had a lot of promise in terms of manifestations and stepping into bigger levels of power. And you might have experienced that. You might have experienced all the ways in which you're feeling kind of limited or ready to grow or things that you would like to step into. This year was really showing you so much about yourself. It was really showing you who you are, what you're capable of, where you're capable of going, and it kept challenging you again and again and again to step up and to step into that version of yourself. So for many people, this might have been a year of having health issues, having a diagnosis, a chronic pain, or even just feeling exhausted. And that's what will happen is, I know it can sound like, yes, I get to stand in my power. This is going to be amazing. I can't wait to do it. But in order to grow, we have to experience the catalysts that force us to grow. And often the catalysts that force us to grow are health issues, a loss in our life, having major changes, or having major things leaving our life, relationships ending, major change in career, different dynamics shifting. Because those are the things when the ground beneath our feet really starts to shake, that we have to start to find our own standing. We have to find our footing and find our power. So it's often through discomfort that we grow. We don't usually grow during times when we feel comfortable. So as we move into 2025, I really see it as a year where there's going to be a lot more completion. There's going to be a lot more things coming to a close, coming to their final ending, coming to the genesis of whatever a relationship was. If there's growth in that relationship, if things are parting, going separate ways. So there's so much room for that next level of power, and that mastering ourselves is a lot of the energy of next year. So if you feel a little defeated or you feel a little disappointed with this year because you haven't necessarily stood up on that stage and been your most powerful self, or had the guts to quit your job or to make a major life change, or to really step into your purpose, there is still time. You haven't missed any window of opportunity, I promise you. I want you to kind of think about this past year was like training for the Olympics, right? It was like all the sweat, all the heartache, all the pulled muscles, all the injuries, all the times when you said, do I really want to do this? Is it worth it? Maybe it's not. And next year we show up, and that's the year when we show our power. That's the year when we step in. That's the year when we say, wow, I've grown in all these ways. I finally feel ready to do this. So there's so much potential in 2025. And I want to remind you too that we don't necessarily just do healing and all this interpersonal work. And when I say healing, it's like, it's not necessarily signing up for a healing program and saying, I'm doing healing in this amount of time. Like, we were doing so much healing this year. The universe was forcing healing upon us this year in the form of things that we had to look at within ourselves that were keeping us down, that were keeping us out of our power from fully expressing who we were. So we don't just heal when we're in pain. We also heal when we say to the universe, I want to step into my purpose. I want to finally start my own business. I want to move to this new place. I want to write a book. I want to, whatever it is. That's when our healing begins, because that's where the universe says to us, okay, that's amazing. And in order for you to do that, in order to make the space for you to fulfill that thing, for it to come into your life, we have to weed out what's not aligned first. So that's where the healing comes in. That's where a lot of this work to create the capacity to actually have what you desire comes into play. So we've all been challenged to heal in different ways this year. And so much of it is so that we can open up that space, open up that capacity to actually inhabit what we want next year, to stand in that place where we want to be standing and really continue to grow from there. And one of the words and one of the messages in terms of healing for next year is embodiment. And embodiment is an interesting thing, because to me embodiment is like the pinnacle of the pyramid of healing. Because when you can embody a change, when you can embody a new belief, a new way of being, a new way of showing up, so that it just feels like who you are, that's when everything shifts. That's when everything changes. That's when the growth just becomes so apparent. And I think embodiment is really the part of healing that we often overlook, because it's not so sexy. It's sexy in principle and purpose. When we're doing it, it feels amazing. But often getting to embodiment is a bit of a grind. It can feel like, okay, I want to be good already. I want to be healed. I want to be to this next place. But you're not quite there yet. It's not quite believable in your energy that you are just this new thing, that this new way of being, that this is who you are. So it's always so much sexier to do the meditations, to go to the retreats, to, do whatever activities it is. Like if you're doing nervous system stuff like cold plunging or saunas, or, listening to sound bowls or whatever it is, it's like it's so easy to get wrapped up in the doing, in the seeking, in the like, what is it that I can check off my list today of my spirituality, my becoming who I am checklist. And I say this lovingly because we all start there. We all start there. I mean, I could point you to my bookshelf full of spirituality, personal development, healing books. There are so many of them. All the podcasts that I listen to, all the spiritual teachers, the meditations, everything. And I think all of that is great. It's great to start there. It's great to start sampling, to start seeing, where you want to go, what direction you want to work in, what lights you up. But embodiment implies that there was commitment along the way. That there was commitment to mastering something. So this wasn't like somebody saying, I'm going to do pottery today and woodworking tomorrow, and then I'm going to paint a little bit, right? It's like by the end of the week, you're like you're a decent painter, you're an amateur woodworker, you have a few skills with pottery, but you haven't mastered it. You haven't embodied it. And when we embody something is when we have the power to really work with it in our energy, in our mind, because it just becomes part of us. It's like if somebody woke you up in the middle of the night, it would just be the natural response. It's who you are. And 2025 is not about dabbling. It's about embodying. It's about embodying your power. It's about embodying who you are. So I invite you, if you feel like you've been dabbling, if you feel like you've been maybe playing with the next stage of your life, what is it? Well, where am I going? What does that look like? And a lot of fear and things can keep you held back. They can keep you just sampling and enjoying the dopamine hit of this, and then a little column A, a little column B. But 2025, we're starting to become masters. And masters can dabble a little bit, but then they choose a path. And that's what I would love for you to start thinking about as you're looking at 2025, as you're looking back on 2024. I invite you to do lots of reflection. What did you learn about yourself? Who are you? What healing did you go through? What realizations did you have? What things tried to break you in half, but you didn't let them, right? What emerged instead? And I want you to just reflect on all of this stuff. But then I want you to think about, okay, where am I putting my energy for this next year? What do I want to master? And that could be finally committing to some deeper healing. It could be finally saying, okay, enough of this. Like, I know that this is the career that I want to do, or it's time to start my business. And it's understanding that the road to embodiment, the road to mastery it's going to have roadblocks. It's going to have places that you feel like, was this a mistake? Did I choose wrong? That's all going to be part of it. But the thing with embodiment is that we keep coming back to the same beliefs about ourselves, the same truths that we hold, the same interrupters that we do when we start to get into those familiar patterns. We start to return back to the things that bring us back to ourself. And we return to things even if they feel hard, or even on the days that they feel so boring. The days as an online business person that Okay, I have to post again. Okay, I have to answer these questions again. Okay, you know, that's the road to embodiment. Embodying your skills, embodying your gifts. It's practice. It's showing up again and again and again, and really committing to what you're committed to. So it might even be a part of yourself that you want to really embrace in the new year. Maybe it's patience. Maybe it's setting firmer boundaries. Maybe it's making time in your schedule for vacations or trips or things just for you. So starting to really embody the beliefs, the emotions, the ways that you view yourself that really support that embodiment process. And understanding that whatever it is, you're going to have to practice. It's going to take that practice. It's going to take that repetition. And this is where the beauty of 2024, all that training has made it possible to start to see who you really are and how you can start to show up for yourself in a brand new way. So all this is so exciting because it's putting so much of the healing, so much of what you've been experiencing, realizing about yourself, uncovering, it's putting so much of this into practice now. It's like it's time to show up. It's time to really embody who you are and really start to show the world who you are as you embody those new beliefs, those new practices, those new ways of being. And that's what 2025 is really asking of you. Maybe you have a new health practice and it's time to really commit to it, right? This is a year of commitment. It's a completion year. So much is coming to a close. It's a 9-year, right? We've ended that cycle. We're about to start a new one. And it's a year of even discovering more and more and more about yourself. And as you start to embody, you start to really whittle down that understanding and that growth of who you are. So I invite you to reflect on 2024. Really get good and honest with yourself about what you've learned, about what you're still carrying, about what needs to go. We still have a couple of weeks left. Even if you're hearing this and it's 2025, it's not too late to say, okay, what needs to be shed? We're moving into the year of the snake. It's all about shedding, right? Shedding quickly, adapting, and moving is what a lot of next year is going to be about. So how can you lighten your load now? What can you start to release from your life, from your energy, from your belief system? What can you release now so that when things start to move a little bit quicker next year, you're not encumbered by all of this extra weight, by all of these extra burdens that you have to start to work through as the energy of next year is picking up rather quickly. So that's where I invite you to start. I invite you to really think about this vision of yourself for 2025. What is it? What does it look like? What does it feel like? Who are you? What are you stepping into? And what does that feel like? And I invite you to dream and to see what comes forward for you. And I'm so excited for you for 2025 to step into this energy. And I thank you so much for listening to this podcast, for supporting this podcast. I would love for you to share this with a friend. I would love for you to give it a starred rating or a review. It helps other people find it. And thank you also to everyone for checking it out on YouTube as well. I'll put the link for that below, as well as some other ways that you can get in touch with me if you're interested in working with me. I do a lot of one-on-one healing work. I do 3-month programs or something more customized for you. And I also have some freebies, some free jumpstarts, a healing jumpstart that I have. So some ways to really get into my world and start to experience what it's like to heal the emotional, the mental, the physical, the spiritual, and the energetic levels, and to really get a taste of that in the way that I work. So if you have any questions, I invite you to reach out at any time. I'll include my contact information. And thank you so much for watching today, and I'll see you next year.